history of past suicidality, risk factors, protective factors. There's a section to document notes or exactly what the operator did with that person on the call. So if the person calls again, some of them don't like to repeat what was said, so they have some information right there in front of them. In my last 2 minutes, I'm going to be showing you some of the data that we've gathered so far in the last 8 months. So this is data from February till September. So you will see these are the received calls we got. When we started back in February, we were still in a pilot phase, so actually nobody knew about the number unless we were contacted through social media or through our small networks. We distributed the number. The number went accidentally viral in March, and this is where you see a big jump in the number of phone calls. And our official campaign was in June, so there's a jump again there. And more recently, we have been seeing a steady increase in the number of phone calls, up to 160 calls that we got in July, which is a number that was really unexpected for our country. You can see that the majority of the calls are individuals with emotional distress. 70% of them are actually direct callers, so the person himself is calling for something they are going through. 58% are in emotional distress, and around 30%, a little bit more, are individuals who are having suicidal ideation. The total number of calls over this period was around 1,038 calls, which is a big number for a few months. And then you can see there's around 30% of third-party callers. So somebody who is concerned about someone calling in to check how can they help that person. The majority of our callers so far are, 32% of them are between the ages of 19 and 37. So these are the numbers that we know are populations who are most vulnerable at suicide. We saw that we had a good percentage of callers as well who are less than 18, so we are seeing some adolescent callers between 11 and 18 years of age, around 10%, and you can see that the majority, 50%, are female, almost 50% male for most age groups. This is a little bit about the married, so most of them are single, obviously. Most of the bigger majority are students. Only 4% actually are receiving psychotherapy services, 11% are currently receiving psychiatric services, and 13% are receiving both. So there's a big number of 70% that are not currently receiving any mental health care, and we hope that this pattern will change with time as we begin to refer more individuals to formal mental health care. I'm just going to focus on the last 2 slides, and just to show you that what we do in terms of tracking our progress and evaluating how well we're doing is we take indicators of level of distress at the beginning of the call and at the end of the call. And as you can see here, that the majority of callers by the end of the call had reached a level of mild distress, and by the end of the call, the majority were not in severe distress. The 4% you see here are callers who actually had to interrupt the call for many different reasons. Most of the time, it was because somebody had came in or walked in, and the caller was still in distress, and we couldn't continue the conversation with that person, or for some reason the phone got cut off. So I think we're doing pretty well in terms of decreasing level of distress of callers by the end of the call. We're also doing quite a good job in terms of, so by the end of the call, one of our major outcomes is that the person is no longer feeling suicidal. So we ask those specific questions at the beginning and the end of the call, and you can see here that only 10% as well had active suicidal, and again, many of these calls refer to individuals we could not continue the call with for some reason. I think my time is up, but we do have a lot of challenges still. Many of them are related to things that we have in our healthcare system that are probably common to Dubai and other countries in the area. We don't have good coverage of mental health care services. They are still quite expensive, so even when we want to refer someone, actually they find it costly to go and see a healthcare professional professional, and this is where we need to do more integration in the primary healthcare, community centers. The cost of the call is not toll-free yet, so it's charged as if it's any other phone call. We definitely have volunteer turnover and have to train our forces several times a year. The sustainability of the service is based on fundraising and donations, which is always difficult, and we hope to move into 24/7 coverage soon. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, that was a fantastic presentation. I'm going to open the floor for questions. We have a question here. Would you like to introduce yourself before asking the question?
Sure. Nadia, consultant psychiatrist, working in the private sector in Dabbagh. Just interested in the suicide helpline. I think it's one of the most stressful things is that me as a psychiatrist sometimes, I don't know where do I stand if I am faced with a person who would like to commit suicide and is actively working on it or wanting to act upon his thoughts. My question is that I've noticed one of your percentage about the type of calls. Now, what 2% out of them are in the progress of suicide? So, I'm just wondering, what kind of intervention or what kind of thoughts or things that you could do in order to deal with that kind of calls? Thank you.
As you can see, the very minority of calls came in with an actual attempt in progress. During these calls, our intervention is much more directive and active in the sense that if there is a suicide means in front of them, we try to focus on getting them away or farthest possible from that means. If there is a family member or a contact person that we can reach, we usually reach. And sometimes so the lifeline is not an interventionist approach, but if the case is a very imminent case, sometimes we intervene in more strict ways. So at one point we had to figure out the number of the caller's parents through our local company that gives us telephone numbers, and sometimes we had to go through Google and actually get the mom to go in on her son who had just took some pills and had almost gone unconscious with her phone, so he was not responding anymore, and he had closed his door, and the mom and the parents weren't available. So we adopted different ways in order to try to save that person's life. But in general, our experience so far is that callers are responsive, even if there is a means right in front of them, even if they have just taken a number of pills. After we talk to them for a few minutes, assess what has been going on, they have called. So once we know that they have called, even if they have just attempted something, there is a way in order to either get to a family member or get them actually to, sometimes they attempt and they call us and we stay on with them on the line until they reach the hospital, for example, or the emergency room. So as long as they've called, we're somewhat safe in that sense, and we can reach with them a compromise.
There's a question at the back.
Question at the back.
Yes, the Subas.
Where? Oh, there you are. Hello, yes. Can you introduce yourself and say who the question is for?
I'm a psychiatrist. I work in Atoui Hospital, Dubai.
Microphone closer to your mouth.
Okay. Dr. Subhash Karan. I'm a psychiatrist. I work in Atoui Hospital, Dubai. My question to Nadia. Fantastic presentation. In fact, we have been thinking about in this line for some time about how to start some sort of hotline. There are a few issues. One is, I'm not sure about Lebanon.
Thank you. This is good. Yes. I'm not sure about Lebanon, but here in this part of the world, as you know, suicide is proscribed. That means it is against religion, and there is a barrier against talking about it publicly, and that too over a telephone or talking to someone. So that you can anticipate. People won't be talking directly about suicide. Maybe they'll talk about something else. You have to infer suicidality, and you have to do a quick risk assessment immediately. So I'm just wondering, how do you go ahead with this sort of conflict situation? It must be difficult. I know people have been doing training and so many things. Just give an outline. Thank you.
So one of the main things that we experienced when we deliver this training to our to the volunteers is we tell them that the main thing they need to do at some point at the beginning of the call, when they want to focus the purpose of the call, is you're going to ask that person, okay, you're going through maybe a divorce or a loss or a breakup. Some individuals who go through X, Y, Z, whatever is the circumstances, think about suicide. Are you thinking of killing yourself? And we actually use those terms, and we teach our volunteers to ask very directly about suicide. And they are shocked and surprised, and they find it very difficult at first to know, how am I going to ask that question? Do I ask it directly like this? Isn't it going to cause something? Maybe they're not thinking of suicide, and I ask them about it. So we have to do a lot of psychoeducation about actually asking about suicide will not cause that person to think about it if it's not there. And if that person is thinking of suicide, then the direct question about it will really relieve that person and help them talk about it more and open up. So it's definitely a struggle when we want to talk about suicide in our community still, in Lebanon as well as everywhere else. And this is why I wanted to show you some of the building blocks and the work that we did building up to this, because we knew it would be difficult. But as we begin to talk more about it, you can see the number of calls we are getting are increasing, and it's opening up the conversation.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, mainly I was talking about, there's a cultural and religious sanction against talking about suicide. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, please. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Dr. Salman Wahid. I recently moved to Dubai 2 months ago. I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist from Canada. Just tell for Dr. Jabri said, I have worked with some Native Americans and American Indian, both in Erie, Pennsylvania and in Cambridge, Ontario. Just a quick comment about what they have really gone through, just to give a mindset about some of the individuals I got. Just one case I want to highlight. So the girl, 33-year-old girl, was a Native Indian, and the trauma you talked about and the incarceration she went through, from the age of 7, she was sexually abused not only by her parents, by her brothers, by all the drug dealers in the town, where all her orifices were used to deliver drugs from one house to another house. And everywhere she went, she had to go through the sexual trauma, physical trauma, you name it. And the amount of devastation I've seen in that girl, she was diagnosed with every DSM-4 diagnosis you can think of. Nobody really gave her the right diagnosis. The PTSD was never treated. And she was incarcerated for longer and longer time just to get by. So I totally understand, and I really love your presentation, because it is so much devastation and so much destruction in the life of Native Americans. Thank you for your presentation. Thanks.
Thank you. It is important not to see the client through only the lens of the DSM-5 and to see who they actually are. And when clients experience so much trauma like that, we can be quick to, for billing purposes or other purposes, to give them a diagnosis, to go along with insurance, etc., at least in the United States. And that is where I feel that rapport goes very strongly. We cannot expect someone has gone through that level of trauma to come in for an appointment and then leave after 1 hour or so, and then they're going to be okay. We have to go to where they are. I failed to mention in my presentation, we often do a lot of community work in homes. We go to where the clients are. Luckily, we have different funding sources that makes that a sustainable option. But the place to be is in their homes, in their community, on their turf, so to speak. So yes, thank you for that observation.
Thank you. There is another question. First.
Hello, yes, do introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Dave. I'm a psychiatrist in Copenhagen, Denmark. All three presentations were aimed to tell us how to increase quality of care on different levels. So, access is one of the parameters of quality of care. The other is efficacy. We have good medication, we are well educated, so efficacy is okay. But the access is a problem, which means that either therapists or the patient need to travel. Usually we do not travel, patients are traveling or not traveling. So I have a few questions. The first one is for a colleague from America. 547 tribes. Probably at least 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 15 languages they speak. So how do you deal with languages? As it is well known that not everybody speaks these cell phone languages, and communication through interpreter is not optimal. How do you deal with this ethnic matching model, which is the best one, where the patient and the therapist have the same ethnic, cultural, and linguistic background?
Just to check, did everybody hear the question? It's about how do you manage the linguistic challenge in managing the different tribal communities.
Surprisingly, any tribal person that I have worked with in the United States, Canada, and Alaska, their first language is English. And although they do speak some of their traditional language, that is a part of the historical and intergenerational trauma. Their language has been lost. So there's a real revitalization and a real effort from tribes to teach the young ones their language. So they have a lot of language programs. So the language barrier is not an issue unless in Canada with Inuit tribes, they do speak. Their first language is not English. Of course, I haven't worked that far north, but clinicians would be more familiar with their traditional languages there. But in the U.S., and in my experience, it's primary English.
Okay. And then we heard about.
Are we allowing more than one question per person?
Primarily one question, because we have so many. I'm sorry for that. If it's okay with you. If it's not okay, you can just go on.
No, it's okay.
Sure.
If it's a burning question, but I think there's a few others in the room.
No problem.
You're okay? We can come back if
If you will have more time,
Yeah.
we'll come back to you. There's a gentleman. Yes, Dr. Seth.
Thank you for your presentation. I appreciate your work with this special population, the Native Americans. I think you mentioned several interventions that would help sort of heal or treat their historical trauma. But I was thinking about the challenge that you might face in measuring your outcome. How can you tell that it's working or it's not working? I mean, how can you measure the outcome of your work?
There are a lot of Native professors that have been doing the research for, I would say, 10 to 15 years and do more qualitative and quantitative studies. And due to time, I couldn't go over a lot of that. But personally, we do a lot of self-reports, surveys, which is in other writings that I've done before. And all the evidence and research really points to, if we're going to have efficacy with Native and tribal clients, with mental health, with other social services, it has to absolutely come from a cultural perspective. The first focus, the first tier, has to be on that cultural piece, and then everything else follows after that. Because I said, with the rapport, if there's not that cultural piece, if there's not that creation of trust, because there's such a historical mistrust of mainstream services. If that cultural piece isn't there, then nothing else works. The clients don't come back. So that could be one outcome. If the clients come back, and I've had clients for over a decade on and off, they continue to come back because there's the trust. And if they have trust with me, they have the trust with the agency and my other colleagues that I work with.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Khalid.
Another question to Seth. Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation, very interesting subject. Just wanted really to ask you if there are any studies on the epigenetics of transgenerational trauma in the Native American. Because I know that there are a lot of studies that were done, particularly in New York University by Rachel, who do the research there. Did anybody tackle the epigenetics of the transgenerational trauma?
Yes, there are several studies. I can't cite any off the top of my head. But what we have seen in Indian country is very similar to Jewish Holocaust survivors and the studies of epigenetics in both those communities. And what we actually call it is blood memory. So I carry with me the traumas from my past ancestors, and there are several tribes in the United States who have suffered higher levels of trauma due to westward expansion. And so it's a term in Indian country, blood memory, that we carry that within us, and we don't forget it, and if we don't talk about it and process it,